Andrew and Christopher have outdone themselves this time. Frickin' Yamaha? A Raptor? Holy shit. That's right, boys. Yamaha Raptor 660. It's complete. It's got everything. There's a motor, there's tires, there's just everything. It's all there. He says that it should run. It doesn't have a key, and maybe that the key system might be compromised a little bit. We'll just put it that way. But other than that, man, it looks fully complete. It's got the exhaust, like the rear looks good. It's got, you know, the chain's a little rusty, but I'll take that off and see if it's nice and good. The tires actually look like they're holding air, most of them. I think this one looks flat though over here. Yeah, that one's flat. I'm gonna try to fill that up with air, see if I can get some air in it. That one needs a little air too. Check out these nets though, man. Look at these big old freaking nets. Some jumping nets on there. Oh, that's awesome. Anyway, this is definitely gonna need some work. Can't wait to get started on this. This would be awesome. If I get this running, 660R. That's a 660cc 4-stroke twin, liquid cooled. There's a radiator up there. Of the carbs, they're in place. Electric start, which is freaking sweet. Got a gas shock for the rear, the mono rear. And a closer look at that. Look at that axle. It's huge. Yeah. It's a big bike. Like, yeah, it's definitely a big bike. There's a lot of suspension travel on this thing. It is badass looking, for sure. Even the stickers are cool. What is this? Something militia. Metal militia! Nice. I don't know who this downshift racing is either, but Fox. Anyway, there's a, you know, it looks like there's really not that many problems with it, so we're gonna dig in and see where we go with it. All right, Robbie, don't fuck this up. I'm just kidding, man. So we got the quad out and taken apart a little bit. I got the tractor battery hooked up to it, and we have a tail light. See that? And it works. Bink, 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 like that. And we know that the starter works. It's in neutral. Let's give it some juice. Get closer, man. Get closer. There you go. Hang on a second. Alright. Isn't that some shit? Oh, she's running. Oh man, it sounds real good. It sounds very, very good. I didn't do shit. I just freaking I decided to throw some gas in it and let it rip. And that's what I got. A bunch of smoke coming out of it, but oh my God. Let me put the plastics back on and take it for a ride. Okay, maybe not so fast. These carburetors leaking like a sieve. See a little puddle down there. Yeah, they're a little drippy. I gotta pull those anyway. And also the petcock for the fuel tank is also kind of a little wet up there. If you see it, it's right up there. It's a little wet up there. So I'll take all that stuff out and clean it up. And also I need to get a battery. So I ordered a battery, and I'll probably have to order a carb rebuild kit just to get those gaskets, and then we'll see from there. We're tearing her down and got the carburetor out. They're a bit of a mess. Found out that the throttle cable was broken right up here. When I went to take that off, you can see this is like, that should be able to screw into the end of the housing right here, and now it's all chewed up. So I need a new throttle cable. What else? There's the carburetors I've got taken out, and I've got them set up here on the bench so I can tear them apart. I ordered a carb kit for them. I ordered a throttle cable for it too. So these things are awfully mungy. I mean, if you look at them, look at how just filthy they are. I don't think they've ever really been removed from the bike. I'm not sure. They're just filthy. But they were leaking real bad, so got to get them apart and rebuilt. James and his lights. And that's right. Anyway, a little update on the quad. Rebuilt the carburetors, cleaned up the gas tank, put some gas in it. It's not leaking anymore. Oh, that car sounds really good. It's not leaking anymore anywhere on the carburetors or anything like that. Got all the linkages hooked back up. I needed to replace the throttle cable. Got that all installed and somewhat adjusted. And it does start right up, but there's some issues. It's burning oil. I'm not sure how. I'm guessing, I have some theories, but let me just start it up here real quick. Yeah, it's a lot of smoke going through it when it's while it's running. Like I said, and you could smell it's oil. Ugh, let me take that off. Not exactly sure what that is, but I will figure it out. I suspect it is. Well, you can actually see all the smoke. Just for running for a couple minutes right there is just smoke-filled garage. I suspect it's leaking past the valve stem seals or something like that, because it sounds like the compression is really good on it. Anyway, I got to look into that and see what's going on there. Otherwise, I'm still waiting on a battery. I'm using the tractor battery right now to start it. So, but it starts and runs, and the carburetors seem to be working okay. So yeah, I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna hook up a compression tester to this thing to see what the compression was like. And I don't. This thing surely fooled me. All this time I thought it was a twin, because it's got the dual exhaust up there. It's got twin carburetors on back here. I thought, I was certain this thing is a twin, right? A 660 especially, that's pretty big, right? No, it's a single. It's just a single. It's just a one big single with twin carbs and dual exhaust. Anyway, I don't have a metric compression tester, and so I'm not going to be able to do a compression test on it at the moment. But I tell you what, man, there's so much smoke coming out of this thing that at first I thought, well, the motor sounds pretty good. It's probably not the compression. Maybe it's just the valve stem seals. But man, there's so much coming out, man. I think it's got to be the rings. So, there's a couple things that I can try. I could soak the cylinders in Marvel Mystery, see if maybe I can get the rings unstuck, if that is in fact what is going on in there. I'm not sure. To be sure, I need to kind of run a compression test or something, but so I got to pick up a metric compression tester to get that worked out. But anyway, just working through the issues, is sucking some oil. Got the chain taken off and soaked in some Marvel Mystery Oil for a day or two. Yeah, probably a couple days I had it in there. It's an O-ring chain, so it's a little stiff, but it's at least clean now. There are no links that are stuck together or anything like that. It's in decent shape. Got the battery. Have that installed in and actually hooked up right now, because I also got my compression tester and I want to see what this thing is doing for compression. So let's see. I gotta press the throttle. Oops, that didn't work. So it should be up around 180. It's showing 180. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna run that test again. See what it comes up with. All right, I've run it a few times. Looks like it's around 160. It just behaves a really weird though. Like when I first start cranking it, it only goes up to about 120, and the engine kind of cranks pretty slow. And then all of a sudden it kicks in to higher pressures. It starts cranking a little bit faster, and I think it's because it has some kind of decompression valve in there, and I wonder if that's being activated when I do it. Let's see if I can set this up in such a way that we can kind of film it while I'm doing it here. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Jesus Christ, Jimmy. Get your shit together. Yeah, let's try that. Yeah, no, it's not going past 120 this time. This is definitely a problem. And I had that piston soaking in Marvel Mystery for a day as well, and that didn't help any. So yeah, this motor needs to come apart and be disassembled, because that is not good. It needs to be at least 140 in order for it to work right, and that's why it's kind of sputtering and stuff. It's blowing, my guess is it's blowing oil past the rings, and you know, I guess the only really way to tell is just to tear it down. So time to tear it down. More note on that test right there, just a reason why it was going up to 180, and I just was thinking about this after shooting that little video. It's like, if you put oil down the piston, down in the cylinder, and the compression comes up when you're testing it, that means that the rings are bad. And what was happening there was I had oil. You could see kind of like the Marvel Mystery explosion when I drained, I basically spat out all the oil out of the cylinder before I ran the test, but there was just some left over. And so what was happening was I was seeing a high compression with the residual oil in the cylinder, and so that just means the rings are bad. And when the oil kind of like ran out, basically after running the test, like I ran it probably about 7, 8 times. After about the 6th time or so, it stopped giving 180 and it started giving like 110. So I mean, the compression is really bad. It needs to be at least 150 for it to work. Normal is like 180 something, and high is like 210. So I'm sure that the rings are bad at this point. I'm absolutely positive that the rings are bad. Time to get a rebuild kit. I have one in mind. So we know that the quad engine needs to be rebuilt. We know it.
Yes, we do.
How do you know?
You told me last night.
Well, I thought it would. I just tested it, and we're sure. We're sure at this point that it needs to be rebuilt. Yeah, it definitely needs to be rebuilt.
Got it.
But I can't just tear the motor out of it without driving it. So with the help of my lovely assistant, I'm going to see if the transmission works, see if it's, like goes forward, I'm gonna try reverse. Reverse should be pretty cool. It has a reverse with this little switch up here. I don't know, we'll see. I put all the plastics back on it because, why?
Because it looks
cool. It looks freaking cool. Look at that shit, man. It's badass.
No, you can put the on, Dad. That's the best part.
I didn't want to bother with that one. Whatever. Here we go.
Okay,
Lovely assistant.
I'm just the film girl. Got it.
Yeah, you're just the film girl. That's all you are. Oh, you know what? Oh, dang it.
He messed up already.
I did. I already messed up. I gotta reconnect the battery. I forgot to connect it back up. I disconnected it. Here, give it a cut while I figure this part out.
Alrighty. Back.
Go back. Let's see if we can do this.
That didn't sound great.
Okay, it shifts. The clutch seems to be working.
It goes forward.
That's about all it does, though.
Trying reverse.
That worked.
That worked? Reverse works. Oh, oh.
Can I try it?
I don't know. I guess he is. Oh, coming. Damn. I'm not running in the morning, Dad. Sorry. You say you need coffee in the morning? I need coffee in the morning too. It works. It seems to work. Oh, he's going back down. This thing is faster than I could walk, man. You can hear it. Oh, oh. Oh. Whoops.
You know what? I think I'm out of gas.
Oh, out of gas.
Yeah.
Whoopsies. Just put some gas in it. Seeing if it works. Okay. trees. He's saying, oh shit. He said even though the engine is pretty bad, it has a lot of power for what the engine is right now. So when he says, oh shit, it's pretty damn funny.
That thing has got some serious power. Seriously. Wow. Okay, that's it.
Yeet!
I have a top end kit coming. So I'm just tearing it all apart, taking all the plastics off, the gas tank, got the exhaust off. I'm gonna do the top end just right in the frame. I don't see any reason to pull the motor out just for that. So, but I got it down to where I'm taking the exhaust out. You can see just how cruddy it is inside. The exhaust port's there, just pumped oil all the way through it, and I don't know exactly how long it's been running like that, but yeah, I mean, whoever had this thing before drove it hard, put it away wet. But yeah, I got all the parts kind of just sitting up on the shelf. Got the exhaust out over there on my press, and I'm just gonna take the cylinder head off now, and then the cylinder itself. So just working through it. Off. And there's nothing obviously wrong with the cylinder, is there? Oh yeah, it kind of looks like there's, I don't know, I'll have to clean it out and get the cylinder off and really kind of, you know, wipe it down and inspect it and everything like that. But yeah, the head's off. I have it in here on the bench, and ooh, excuse me. Ha! Terrible filming there. Anyway, I've got it up here on the bench. I just filled it up with some carb cleaner, just some solvent to see if it would leak down any, and it's holding, you know. So see a little. It's filled with carb cleaner. Anyway, I don't think I need to really do anything except maybe clean this head off a bit, get the carbon off of it, and I don't know, I was thinking maybe I might do a valve job on it and replace the valve stem seals, but there's nothing obviously wrong with the head gasket either. I know it's kind of a little wet right now, but I took a look at it. It looks like it was fine too, like nothing failed on it or anything. So I'm pretty sure that the problem is just, you know, cylinder wear, ring wear, that sort of thing. And so I have a new cylinder and piston replacement set coming in, and should be in next week. Yeah, this cylinder is just worn out. I've got it upside down on the bench here, and you can kind of see how it transitions from like the shiny part to, you know, that's where the piston normally rides, and then this is upside down right here, so this is like below the piston skirt, and you can still see like hatch marks on there and stuff like that. Well, when you feel between like where the piston rides and where the original cylinder bore is, you can actually feel there's a difference there. Like it's worn out by a few thousandths at least, maybe 5 or so, kind of a lot. You can see some scratch marks in there too. They're hard to pick up, but you can kind of see some traces on them. They're on the cylinder or on the piston too. Let's see if I can get a better shot of this. Yeah, you can kind of see it right there. This piston's all scuffed up. Another thing that I noticed about this piston was that the rings were installed like this. The top ring gap is there. The second ring gap is there. Now that is wrong. That's just completely wrong. These should be on like opposite sides of the pistons from each other. You know, like if this one's over here, then the other one should be over here, you know, like on the other side. And the reason for that is, well, that kind of tends to let more oil up through you know, from the crankcase up into the cylinder. And this, you know, the cylinder is obviously, I mean, the whole thing was just sucking oil like mad, but it's all It's all because of it's a worn piston cylinder combo. So what I've got coming is just replacements for these two. So hopefully that'll come in soon. The head actually doesn't look that bad at all. I cleaned it up a little bit. Just you know, wiped out the carb cleaner that was in there. The exhaust valves are kind of caked up a little bit with some carbon. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, you can kind of see that. Not so much the intake side, but the exhaust valves are really caked up. And so I think what I'll do is I'll probably, even though they're holding pressure and everything, like the seats, the valves are seating fine, but I think I'll just probably pull the valves out and check them out for you know, for wear, and lap them back in, get them all cleaned up, just basically get this head all cleaned up and ready to go again. But the springs look okay. It's a 5-valve head. I mean, the springs look fine, the retainers and everything like that. But while I'm at it, I think I'll probably replace the valve stem seals in here. Just get new seals in here to make sure that I'm not getting any leakage down past the valves. I don't think I am, but I might be. It's impossible to say, but I think I'll freshen that head up there. You know, just pull the valves, lap them in, get some new stem seals, just make sure that they're okay, and then those will get replaced with the rebuild kit. Giggles, measuring the ring end gap. I measured that one, it came out to 32 thousandths, and the spec says it should only be between 11 and 17 thousandths of an end gap on it. And that end gap, for people that don't know, is how much space is there between the two ends of the ring when you've got it in there. And the way you put it in there is you just slide it in there and then, you know, tamp down on it till it's flat, and then you measure the end gap. And look at that honking gap in there. I don't even know how big it is. It's above 60 thousandths. It's like, it's a lot. Anyway, that ring is whooped, and that probably had more to do with the oil consumption than anything else. Is that these rings are just worn really, really bad. Whoa, excuse me. Anyway, I'm getting new shit anyway. I'm getting all new piston, cylinder, and rings and all that stuff anyway, so we'll be good. I was wrong about the valves not leaking. You can see that little wet streak right there. That's the exhaust valve. It's filled with gas from the port side, and you can see it leaking down. So that definitely needs little work on the head there. No big deal. Like I said, I'm gonna tear this thing apart anyway. I just wanted to be sure of its kind of state before I tear it apart. Well, got it on the intake side now, and yep, there's a little leaker. Yeah, these valves, I've got it, like I said, soaking in the port side, but looks like, yeah, it definitely, these valves need to be lapped in. What's the difference between the Raptor 660 and the Raptor 700? Well, it's the bore. The bore size is bigger. This is the rebuild kit I got. It's the big bore kit. It basically turns the 660 into a 700. Well, that's right, folks. Went with a bigger bore. This is an aftermarket cylinder, but from Nietzsche, not exactly sure. But it has the bore size is 2 millimeters bigger. It's basically how they got the bigger size on the 770. Of course, it's only 686, but you know, motorcycles usually round for their displacement. This kit came in today. I just mic'd out the piston and the cylinder, and they all check. So now I've got two service manuals, right? I've got one for the 660 and one for the 700. just so I can make sure that the piston clearances and cylinder, limits and all that are within spec. And these guys check out. It looks like a pretty decent set. You get a new piston, new cylinder, new piston pin, new piston pin clips, new rings. I'm gonna take those rings out and gap them on this cylinder and make sure that they're all into spec. But yeah, so far this is looking pretty good. This is the first real problem swapping this new cylinder over. There's dowel pins on the top to locate the cylinder head to the top of the cylinder, and they're not coming out very nicely. That one's all chewed up, and the other one is probably even worse. So whatever, I'm ordering a new set of dowel pins. I'll have to wait on those before I can install the cylinder head. I'm waiting on my valve stem seals for the cylinder head anyway, and I can probably install this cylinder regardless of the pins. But yeah, I gotta order a part before I can mate the head to the cylinder. That's a shame. Got some new valve stem seals in today. There are these guys. They go in the head right below the springs, the valve springs, and they prevent oil from going in from the head side into the intake ports and the exhaust ports. And I don't think they're really a problem, but it's something that you do anyway when you freshen up a head. Here's a decent shot of the exhaust valve and how much buildup there is on the bottom of that. Hopefully that's salvageable. I don't know if it isn't, but just as kind of a comparison, there's the intake valve, and it's kind of nice and smooth and everything like that. But the exhaust valves, just a lot of buildup on them. So I got to clean those off and lap the valves in to the seat side to make sure that they seal well, and just kind of in general clean up the head. But this is taking it apart, and it's coming along pretty good. Those exhaust ports were caked in carbon buildup before. A little easy off, a little scrubbing. It came out fine. Same with the valves. They look pretty good. This one needs a little bit more right along there, you can see. But I think otherwise they look in pretty good shape. Other one cleaned up real nice. Oh, that one probably could use a little bit more too. I'll go over them again. But they're not burnt or anything like that, so I'll be able to reuse them. Just finished the valve job on this thing. Looks pretty good. No apparent leaks or nothing. And this guy is otherwise ready to go in. I think I just got one more part, and I'm waiting on these stupid dowels that I couldn't get out of here. These things are just junk, and I got them ordered, and so I can't really install this until that comes in, so I wait. Isn't that a beautiful sight? All my parts came in today, and instead of just going through the details of it all, I just started throwing it back together. I got the head installed, got the camshaft back in there, the cam chain all timed up, the top cover, the cam cover on, or the head cover I guess they call it, in there. I've got it all bolted down, the cam tensioner and everything. I just need to, button the rest of it back up and, put some fluids in it and let her rip. And so I'm excited. It's getting back together. It's pretty cool. All right, folks. I've got it all hooked back up. Kinda. Not really. I have some of this stuff hooked back up. I have the bare minimum hooked back up to it. I have the throttle cable hooked up down here. You can see. Bam, bam, bam. That's working. Gas tank is installed. I got the battery in there with the computer box, the ignition, I guess, the starter solenoid. And I don't see any leaks. Now this has a dry sump oil system. And so the procedure for filling it is, there's the oil tank right up there, is you fill that up. And if you're changing the oil or whatever, you got to fill that up after you drain everything. You fill that up, and then you start it up and rev it a few times, and then shut it down, to get the oil into the system because it just kind of needs to pump through. So basically, that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to try and start it. I haven't started it yet, but I've got everything hooked back up, and it should fire. New oil filter. I put coolant in the radiator. That's all closed off. I got, like I said, the oil tank filled. Just got my new key switch up here. And oh, there it is. It says it's in neutral. And hopefully I won't need the throttle pedal to get it started, or the throttle to get it started. But I'm going to put the choke on, and it's in run. And let's try to start it. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, I might need 2 hands for this. I need to rev it a few times, so, but it sounds like it's running. All right, let's get this thing going here. Try to choke. Let me try throwing it on reserve. I might not have enough gas in the tank to make it run off of the regular one. Of course, I might also have flooded it. I don't know. Down there, that should be enough to get the oil cycled through. And no serious amount of smoke was coming through the tailpipe. Only just but some backfires, some serious backfires coming out of there. So I wonder what that is. Maybe an ignition timing thing. Not exactly sure, but I gotta just top off the oil tank and maybe slap it all together and let it warm up. He's running. Letting it burn the oil off of the exhaust and all the other shit. It's doing that though. I don't know exactly what that problem is, but judging by the white smoke, and I think it's running too rich. Like, it just has too much fuel going through the carburetor, so maybe I gotta get a jet kit or something, I don't know. I'm gonna try and just let it warm up and see if it settles down. And it shoots flames. Yeah! I noticed while I was running it, first of all, it runs really good. Once it's warmed up, it really runs fantastic. And a nice smooth idle, crisp throttle response. Like everything with the motor builds or the engine build seems fine. Tiny little leak on one of the coolant hoses up there. It's just seeping out. So I gotta tighten that back up. But the thing that's really concerning me is that the temperature warning light, that one right there, the one that has a little thermometer kind of thing on it, that came on like a couple times. And I shut it down because I'm like, shit, is it overheating? And even the fan even came on a couple times. It has a little electric fan on that radiator there. But that came on a couple times, which, that's normal and everything. But like, even so, like the warning light kept on coming back on, and I was like, well, shit, what the hell? Is it running too rich? Maybe it's overheating because it's too rich. Maybe. And then I was thinking, well, maybe the water pump is just shot on this thing. I don't know. It seems to be flowing coolant in it. Like the radiator itself is actually getting hot. So, there's that. But I think what I'm going to do before I really run this thing anymore is I'm going to swap out a new water pump in it. Put a new water pump in there just to be safe. because if that's broken, then that definitely would have caused the last motor to blow, and it will cause this motor to blow too if you overheat it, you know. So I don't want to overheat a fresh motor, so I'll get a new water pump for it and see where we go from there. Good news on that overheating business. I took the cap off and saw that there was no coolant at the top of the radiator. I was like, what the hell? Right, so I filled it back up, let it run again, and then just let it heat up. You could, I let the fan come on, and I only ran it for a little bit, but it was like, I think long enough to where it would have like shown the problem, and I knew that there was water going through the system, or like coolant going through the system at that point. And so I shut it down, pulled it back in, and sure enough, it's filled up now. So I think the problem with it overheating was just that it needed to circulate some of the coolant in through the cylinder and stuff. It goes through the cylinder and the head, and so that's not a problem. I think the cooling system is fine. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is the smoke that was coming out of it when we were running it the first time. You saw smoke coming out of the exhaust, you know, off of the exhaust pipes up here, and then off of the engine, and kind of seeping up through the middle of the body. And then there was also smoke coming out of the tailpipe. Well, I think the reason for that, I'm pretty sure, because this last time that I had it running, it didn't do that. And I had said before was, oh, maybe it's running rich. No, I don't think it's running rich at all. What that was the oil burning out of the exhaust pipe. There was so much oil in here. It was actually caked on the back of this thing. It still kind of is. There's just so much oil in the system that it was just burning that out. Well, like I said, when I started it up with the refilled coolant, it was fine. There was no smoke at all. And so I think basically the bulk of the oil that was kind of stuck inside the exhaust pipes is burned out at this point. And that brings me to the other thing. Why is it backfiring and stuff like that? There's a little backfire action going on. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I did notice while I was running it, I probably should have gotten this on video. The pipes were glowing red. So that means that it's running too lean. And so it just needs some carburetor adjustments. Hopefully it'll just be an adjustment. I can adjust it out with the pilot screw that's on there. If not, I may have to jet it or something. I'm not 100% on what needs to be done with that to fix it, but I know it's a tuning issue at this point. So the backfires and the kind of like a dying out at idle when it's a little bit colder. I think I could fix that all up with tuning, so I'll get on that. Another bright and sunny summer day. I'm gonna move this thing on out. I did some tweaking on it last night. I got the carburetors all taken out and just took a look at them. There, I did find a couple of issues with them while I was in there, and oh, the mail lady is here. What I found was the pilot jet on this carburetor right here was kind of jammed into the bore of the cylinder, and I was like, what the hell? But it wasn't actually the jet that was in there that was jammed in. It was like the old previous jet had broken off inside the carburetor, so was only running on one pilot jet. That could cause it to be lean, which is part of the thing that I was seeing. The other thing too that I hope I solved here, kind of hard to see, but like I've got those carburetors mounted all the way up and they're clamped on, and so there shouldn't be any air leaks or anything like that. And again, this is just kind of like hastily set up so that so that I could just start it up and run it, hopefully, and see that it runs okay. And so let's give it a shot. Let me give it a choke. Nope. got to warm up. That's the one thing that I've noticed about it. It has to warm up. So yeah, I'm gonna let it. I'm gonna play around with it a little bit, try to see if I can get it to idle. I can feel the wind from the exhaust from here. This thing has got a massive cylinder. It's just massive. I got no leaks. It's idling pretty good. Every once in a while it stumbles a little bit, especially after you rev it, but it's really good. Get a little backfire action. I think that's because maybe the I don't know, it needs a little bit more tuning, but it's idling real nice. After it warms up, it idles like this. I got no smoke coming out of the pipe. Time to throw the plastics on. Got her all back together. Sitting here idling. I think it's still a little lean. See how that's blowing a little bit. See if I can get it from the other side a little bit better. It's just getting dark out. Yeah, you can kind of see that. It's blowing a little bit. But and there's the fan. Hear the fan coming on? Yeah. Plastics are back on. I had it out for a test drive. The shit works like a champ. It's awesome. Well, let me turn the light back on here, because I just wanted to show the glow basically. But this thing is working great. It's got a good amount of power. I was able to get it, you know, I couldn't get it out of first gear in my backyard, but that's really all I have to work with right now. And you know, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And there's a couple things that are still kind of wrong with it, you know, like just little things like the emergency brake doesn't work, and you know, probably the brakes in general kind of probably need to be looked at, and they work and everything, but you know, I could take a look at the pads and all that. But you know, I got it to where it was right now with big bore kit, so I could rebuild it. I got some valve stem seals in there. I got some oil filter. I lubed up the chain. Put a new key switch in it. You know, had to clean up the carburetors a little bit. Got some new gaskets for the muffler, so that when I took it off and could put it back on, that was all working good. Threw some new coolant in it, some new oil in it, new oil filter. I mean, not much, right? It didn't take much. It's working. It's working. I'm thrilled with it. And you know, at this point, I'm gonna try and find some place where I can ride it besides my backyard, which is way too small. But I'm just thrilled with it.